Under this regulation, it will not matter if guns are sold on the internet, at a gun show, or at a brick and mortar store. If you sell guns predominantly to earn a profit, you must be licensed and you must conduct background checks.
That was the Attorney General just this morning announcing a major change to the way guns are sold in this country and the way background checks are conducted. This change announced by the Justice Department today is what they call the most significant regulation on guns in decades, and it defines who must get a license to sell a gun and who must conduct a background check before selling that gun. This new rule closes the so-called gun show loophole. Now, I know you're thinking, how can DOJ do this? Well, it was actually Congress that did it. Under the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that was signed into law in 2022, it was Congress that expanded the definition of who is engaged in the business of dealing firearms. And today's regulation from the ATF, which is the government agency that handles guns, clarified how that definition should be applied to the real world. Now, according to the new regulation, you would be considered engaged in the business of dealing firearms if you simply are selling a firearm to predominantly earn a profit. The threshold before was that you were selling as both part of your livelihood and also making a profit. So now, when this rule becomes final, if you are selling wholesale or retail firearms to predominantly earn a profit, you must be licensed by the U.S. government, and once you're licensed, in order to keep that license, you must conduct background checks on all the people you sell to and keep records of each of those sales. Now, in the past, people who claimed that selling firearms was not their main source of income, like those who sell guns at gun shows or on the internet or at fairs, were able to be exempt from getting a government license and therefore exempt from conducting background checks on those they were selling to. And the Justice Department says in lots of cases it was those guns that wound up at crime scenes and in the hands of people who were not legally allowed to possess them. So it's important to know this rule does not require every private sale of a firearm to be processed through a licensed dealers. Individuals can still sell firearms in interstate private sales without a license under this rule, but only if the seller is not engaged in the business of selling firearms and the transactions are otherwise legal. That means individuals who sell firearms for the enhancement of a personal collection or have a legitimate hobby or are trying to liquidate all or part of a gun collection that was inherited are able to occasionally buy and sell firearms without the need to obtain a license. Now, this rule will take effect in the next 30 days, but it is very likely that it is going to be held up by the inevitable legal challenges that are coming.